Hello, my name is Carly Wine. I am a Ball State graduate student in the SPCE 683-810 course. Today I'll be discussing a bibliography on cultural responsiveness through 3 peer-reviewed articles. So the first article that I will be discussing is by Bilal and Jimenez Gomez called Cultural Responsiveness and Applied Behavior Analysis, a Self-Assessment. So Bilal and Jimenez Gomez identified cultural responsiveness as a self-assessment of personal biases that can potentially impact the care that they provide to clients and their families. So with respect to service delivery, rapport building, communication, and treatment being all factors that could be impacted. Bilal and Jimenez Gomez adopted the three dimensions of cultural competence by Sue and her colleagues of awareness, knowledge, and skills to discuss culturally responsive behavior and analytic services. Bilal and Jimenez Gomez furthered the discussion of self-assessment to be the first step to becoming culturally responsive and engaging in cultural humility. The recommendation was made to continue personal growth and identify practices to increase more diversity through their services. The next article I will be discussing is by Fallon, Vega, Susillo, and Kilgus called Do Teachers' Perceptions of High Cultural Responsiveness Predict Better Behavioral Outcomes for Students? So Fallon and colleagues conducted 2 different studies. The first one was using a double-check self-assessment with a Likert scale for teachers, and the second one was using SABRS, which is a screening tool teachers conducted for students functioning with social behaviors, academic behaviors, and emotional behaviors. Between both the studies, Fallon and her colleagues found consistency that teachers who were more culturally responsive and engaged with students more appropriately had more positive behavioral outcomes from their students, and their students were deemed to be quote unquote at less social emotional risk. Fallon and her colleagues furthered discussion to include limitations, which included their observations. So their observations were 30-minute intervals. These were planned observations in which students and teachers knew that they were being observed, and so that became a limitation since behavior data could have been skewed with that. It was also a limitation with the double-check Likert scale due to this being a personal assessment in which the accuracy could have been skewed due to teachers' perceptions of what at-risk meant for students. The last article I will be discussing is by Mather and Rodriguez called Cultural Responsive Curriculum for Behavior Analysis, or Analyst, a Meaningful Step Toward Social Justice. So Mather and Rodriguez furthered the discussion of cultural responsiveness through critical race theory. They built their discussion that children of racial colors, including Black and Latino, generally were misdiagnosed or diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder later than children of white races. So the lateness and misdiagnosis therefore would hinder the children with their learning and early learning and their treatments. Mather and Rodriguez continue to discuss how BCBAs generally base their interventions and their treatments primarily off of what race they are and their personal cultural factors, which would also provide a hindrance toward their clients if they were of other races. The recommendation was to enhance and understand personal biases through the ACT method, which is called acceptance and commitment training, to identify those values. They also suggested to complete a cultural responsive curriculum, which is basically a checklist that targeted the frameworks of cultural responsiveness. Thank you for watching my video and have a good day.